Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live. It's episode number 89. It's season 5. Gumbo Live is the #1 Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board gaming. Our special guest tonight, we've got Joel Lewis. You'll know him from posting on Facebook. From him what's going on with that name. Board Game Gumbo is a proud member of Punchboard Media. Hey, check out some of our other fine members like Patrick and Eric in the morning. If you like morning shows, Patrick and Eric wake you up with game news, opinions, and friendly banter, and you can find it on the What Did You Play This Week podcast feed, Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Hit us up on social media, on Twitter or on Facebook, at Board Game Gumbo, and we'll be looking for your questions in the chat crew. But enough blather. Let's get right to my special guest. What's up, Joe Lewis? Welcome to the show.
I just had a technical error. All right. G'day. How we doing?
That's right. It's actually Wednesday for you, isn't that right?
It is first thing Wednesday morning, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Right.
Now, you know, if you were from Louisiana, do you know how we would say your name? Any guess?
Joel.
Joel, that's exactly right. That's the way.
Because the first time I was over there, everyone kept saying Joel, and I'm kind of like, who are they looking for? Yeah. All right. Yeah, fair enough.
If you ever get to Louisiana, it'll be very common for people to call you Joel because that's the way we pronounce it over here in our little Cajun land. So for the people that don't know Joel Lewis, Joel, look, I just said it. For the people who don't know Joel Lewis, and they must not be on Facebook, but if they don't, give us the elevator pitch. Who is Joel Lewis? Man, I'm going to say Joel all night. I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, that's all right. No, that's absolutely fine. Well, I'm a board game designer, or at least aspiring. I've signed my first game. I'm a nurse by trade. I work in neonatal ICU, so ICU for babies, and I work in pediatric ophthalmology. I've got a lovely wife who's from Toronto. I've got 2 sons, 2-week-old and a 2-year-old. I love to surf, I love to play volleyball, and I love board games. That's pretty well
volleyball. We both love volleyball. What's your position?
I play beach, so I kind of wherever I'm put, really.
Two person or 4-person beach?
We play mostly 4-person now. I'm not a bad libero, but yeah, I'm probably the one dragging behind on the team. But the rest of the guys are pretty solid. But yeah.
So I played a lot of backyard volleyball, beach volleyball, and indoor volleyball growing up, and then I took a break for 20 years or so, and I got back into it playing 4-person, and wow, my legs. The first match, I jumped, 5 seconds too early, bounced twice, fell on my butt, and then the ball hit me in the face. And my brother was like,
"Oh no,
you are really rusty." I'm like,
I found it's been the best thing for my legs getting back into it. Like, I've got a dicky knee, and that twisting on the sand, that's the point of least resistance. My foot in the sand, not my knee anymore. So yeah, loving it.
I do miss volleyball, but I tell you, my knees are just they just really can't handle anymore. So I switched back to swimming, and that's what I've been doing. It's a lot better for my legs, but volleyball has always been my favorite sport to play of all sports. I didn't even know that about you. That's pretty cool, Joel. Hey, Steve O'Rourke, the name father, our producer of the show, is checking in, says, welcome to another great Gumbo. And he reminds me that Joel is a Kryptonian name. He's Joel. That's right. He's Joel. He's not Joel. We're going to figure that out. And Anna Maria, who was on our show a couple of weeks ago, says, well, it's going to be Joel forever for now. No, it's not, Anna Maria. I don't want to start that.
I don't mind. Nah, all good. I actually met another Joel Lewis when I was in the States for the first time.
Oh, did
Random
you?
tangent story. There's a comedian in Australia who added a whole bunch of people by his name. And then he went around the world and met them. That was his segment. And I thought that was a great idea.
I remember when you're talking about. Is he from Australia that did that? I remember that. Yeah.
John Safran. And so I did the same. And I added a bunch of Joel Lewises. And I met this Joel Lewis in New York. And the first thing he said is like, are you Joel or Joel? I was like, well, I'm Joel. He goes, close, but not quite the same. So we went out for dinner and had a few beers. But yeah, it was good fun.
I would doubt there's a BJ Rosa out there, but I will. You know what? You
Google it. Facebook it.
I'm going to start looking to see it. Hey, check out Anna Maria's content. She's been doing a lot of videos lately. Anna Maria, the first one was a little rough because it looked like the camera was sideways, but it looks like you fixed that problem. So keep up the good work, Anna Maria. She's doing really good work out there with the girls' game shelf. If you haven't checked it out.
2-week-old, not 3 weeks. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah, he's 2 weeks old.
2 weeks old today.
Well, no, he's 2 weeks and 2 days now.
Yeah,
Had all sorts of
we actually moved shows around to make sure that you could be ready because you had to be in the hospital a couple of weeks ago.
yeah, the date that we were scheduled for the first time for initially that was actually his due date,
All
and
right,
he
so
was very
Joel,
punctual. Came with
Anna
his due
Maria
date.
wants to know what's your secret? How are you even awake right now?
I coffee. I used to be a nurse shift worker, so I only do day shift now, but I'm functioning on very little sleep, to be honest.
Yeah, if you're a NICU person, man, you're used to late night hours, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so tell the audience, tell the chat crew out there, what got you into gaming? I'm always curious to hear what's that game that really propelled you into the hobby gaming.
Well, it's a funny story because my first experience with modern gaming was almost my last.
Really?
Um, yeah. So I played a lot of D&D with my brothers, and we've played RPGs a lot. And we always played a lot of old kind of roll and move games. Actually, a couple of weeks ago at my grandparents' place, she pulled out old Keys to the Kingdom, 20-year-old game, and goes, "You guys want to play this?" And we'll kind of look at each other like, "Yeah, we do." So it's just
Sure.
this roll hilarious. But anyway, my best mate who got me into gaming, he actually we went on a wine tour. There was like a wine launch event, and we went out, had a few drinks, had way too much, went back to his house, and they're like, "Oh, let's play a game." Sure, why not? Yeah, come on, let's give it a shot. And he's pulled out Pandemic, and we'd had a few wines at this point. We had no idea what was going on. He's trying to explain the rules, and we are far too deep, and we just no idea. And come the end of the game, my wife was getting bored. It was 2 a.m., and we're just like, "Nah, we've had enough." We went home, and the next morning they messaged us, like, "How did we win that game?" Like, I have no idea. I don't even know what happened. I have no idea what was going on. So we kind of went, you know what? It's maybe not for us. Do you guys call it a bucks or a stag do? So the same bloke, he was getting married,
Like a
and
stag party?
he wanted a stag party, but he wanted a
Okay.
much quieter one. And so we went out for a few drinks, went out, played some mini part, and then went back to my place, and he pulled out a bunch of games. And I was like, "Oh, here we go again. All right, what's going on here?" Pulled out Munchkin. Now, when you've had a few beers, Munchkin's hilarious. Now, I don't care that Munchkin gets a lot of flack, but we absolutely loved it. From a D&D background, the inside jokes were hilarious. We just had an absolute blast, and we played. Was it Wizards Mount Scuzzlefuzz? Can I never get the name right?
Yeah.
That was hilarious as well. And I went, all right, this isn't too bad. We played a few party games and stuff. So the next time we had him around, I said, "Oh, let's try one of those board games again." So he brought Pandemic, and I think he brought Five Tribes. And then after that, we're like, okay, this is pretty fun. This is all right. So then they kind of adopted us. So it's myself, my wife, him and his wife, and we ended up just going from there. And we played so many games just with them now. So my collection started with his, and then we kind of crossed over and went, well, what's the point of me buying games that you have? And so yeah, this kind of went from there. So Pandemic, and then my wife loved cooperative games from there. I found out very early on that she can't do that or very competitive games. So our game collection started with a lot of co-ops. So we went to what was it, Forbidden Island, stuff like that, even Seven Samurai, a whole bunch of cooperative games. And then the expansion kind of blew up from there. So I've still got a lot of take that, but I just can't play them at home. I have to play them with my brothers.
Yeah, the only one that my wife really likes is Pandemic. She's just not a big fan of cooperative games. She likes Pandemic until I introduced Pandemic Legacy. We started with Pandemic Legacy, got to April or May, and then she just looked at me and said, "Look, I like Pandemic. I don't want to play it 12 times in a row."
Yeah, fair
She's
enough.
not that kind of person. Now, a small card game or something, Lost Cities or one of those things, we'll play it 10 times, just every night whenever we're playing it. But for some reason, playing Pandemic over and over, and I'm getting into the story, and I don't want to break any spoilers or
I,
anything, but there's a lot of crazy stuff that
I,
happens with it.
yeah, the constantly evolving rule changes. Like, we absolutely loved it the first time I played it through. It was, yeah, and you have these just moments in it where you kind of mind blows and you do something or something happens to a city, and it's just these moments where you walk away. And the only thing I can kind of compare them to is when you have an RPG session and something insane happens, then you're kind of talking about that for months after. Same deal with, I reckon, Pandemic Legacy.
Sure.
After a month, I was like, what happened? Like, it's just this crazy moment. But
You know what else I think it is? And this is just because I know my wife very well. She hates surprises. She absolutely hates surprises. I'm the kind of person Man, if you show me a game with boxes that are all sealed and I've got to play it to open it, it gets me excited. I want to play the game more. I want to see what the next box is. She's like, no, I want to just open up all the boxes right now. She doesn't want any secrets. So instantly that just a turn off. She is also pretty competitive. And just like Anna Maria says, she says she doesn't care for co-ops. There has to be a winner. My wife is the same way. She wants a winner. But Pandemic is a great one, and that's I'm glad you said that because I've heard a lot of games out there, but Pandemic wasn't one that I've heard that brought somebody into the hobby. Although, like you said, Munchkin was really the one that sealed the deal. I'm like you. I have given.
Oh, well, I lost you there.
The swamp gas is going to get me every once in a while, Joel. Just keep rolling. And I apologize. I don't know why. Sometimes down here,
well,
our internet.
Like I said, Pandemic nearly actually lost me to the hobby the first time we played it.
Yeah.
But I think that was because just wasn't the right time or place. But I think that's kind of gateway games, though. I mean, I don't want to be jumping around your show notes too much, but the whole concept of gateway game, like we know within the hobby, people that have been in it, we're like, all right, we got your ticket to rides and your lighter stuff. I honestly reckon any game can be a gateway game if it's tailored to the right person. Like if you're a D&D fan, Munchkin, you're going to get those jokes. You play Betrayal, Baldur's Gate, it's really going to appeal to you. But any game can be a gateway game if it's the right person.
So, Joe, what do you think makes a great gateway game? What is it that has that hook for people?
I don't know. I think just memorable moments and having fun. Like if you're playing a game where you're sitting there and you're not knowing what's going on, you're not having fun, you're never going to pick up another game. It almost happened to me. If you don't know what's going on, you're not having fun, are you going to come back to the hobby? Probably not. But if something that's tailored to you, like if I was to introduce it to a modern game to my father-in-law, I would go straight for trick taking because that's what he plays with cards. I would pick up something like Fox in the Forest and be like, all right, let's give this a shot.
Good one.
Really, you almost have to tailor what is, if you want to try to bring someone into the hobby who's a friend of yours, you know them better than most, so you kind of know what's going to appeal to them.
Has there been a game that you've had more success than others in introducing the hobby? What's your standby? What's your go-to gateway game?
At the moment, probably Planet.
Oh, Planet, really?
And that's only in the last couple of months, and it's only because it's so tactile, it's so pretty, and there's, even if you lose at the end, there's that sense of accomplishment of, I made something really cool. So before that, probably Forbidden Island was a good one, because once you've explained the rules, you can sit back. Actually, Betrayal at House on the Hill, I think that's a perfect example of, we'll just learn the rules as we play it. Okay, you move here, you pick up a tile, then what happens? Something that's really light in on the rules. So that's actually one that, I've introduced quite a few people to.
I'm always, that's a great one. I'm always surprised because I don't think of it in terms of being a gateway game, and yet it really is. I've had so many. I play a lot of games with my scout troop and a lot of games at our local convention, and I'm amazed at how many people tell us, at least, their first introduction to the hobby was not Carcassonne or Ticket to Ride or any of those games. It was Betrayal in the House of the Hill. That was the first hobby game they played.
It's so easy, and because it is semi-co-op at the beginning, there's not heaps of strategy. You're just exploring. You're just dungeon crawling. So you learn the rules as you go. So it's so straightforward. You don't have to sit there and, all right, so this is how we're going to play, big 20-minute explanation of how we're going to play a game for the next hour or half an hour. You jump straight in it. And I completely forgot Carcassonne. Carcassonne, I was definitely another one that brought a few friends into the hobby. I introduced a few friends to Carcassonne. They came back 2 weeks later with Tokaido and Santorini and went, hey, have you played this? I was like, yes, I have. Let's get them on the
table. Yeah. So I think going back to Betrayal, it's starting to hit me a little bit now. I've played hobby games pretty much all my life, but if I hadn't, and all I've played is things like Monopoly and Life and Payday and Risk and Candyland and all these games, and all of a sudden somebody says, and I've never played D&D, right? And all of a sudden somebody brings out this Betrayal game. They teach the rules in about 5 minutes, right? They get it started right away. There's this narrative story that develops, and they don't tell us that at one point, one of us might be a traitor. One of us might
Yeah.
turn on the rest of them. That would blow my mind. That would be a twist I just totally didn't expect could come from a board game because that's so cinematic, right?
And it feels very familiar, I think, to something like Monopoly. And I'm not comparing the two, but you move. You have your little figurine, you move somewhere, something happens. So you move through a couple of rooms and something happens. So it's not super complex. It feels a little bit familiar, but then all this cool stuff happens. Like, I found this random lucky dice that I get to do stuff with. Like, yeah, I don't know. Loved it.
Wow.
It's good. I really want to play Legacy now. It's sitting on my shelf. I really want to play Betrayal Legacy. I've heard such good things about it.
Well, you've got two future players with you. Can you hold out till they're ready, till they're old enough?
Well, at least 8 years. I don't know. I probably have a few different seasons by then, but
Yeah, that would be tough. Hey, so I'm talking with Joel Lewis, the designer of Fluttering Souls, and he took a giant, long trip all the way for your first ever Gen Con. Isn't that right?
it was a long. It was almost just under 2 days of travel.
Hey,
It was
Chacker, I got to tell
36
you this.
hours.
In the show notes, when I put elevator pitch, tell us who Joel Lewis is. He says, this will be underwhelming compared to your past guests. Joel, you traveled 9,429 miles, designed your own game, got it published, and went to Gen Con for the first time. I don't have a lot of guests that have that on their pedigree. That's pretty impressive, man. How did you pull that off?
When we first started talking with the company about with Good Games Publishing, you're going to pitch it.
Sure.
They're originally going to kickstart my game, and we're talking about that. And then they said, you know what? Let's launch a Gen Con. I went, do you feel like taking me with you? And I'm like, we'll have a look into it and see what we can do. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. A couple of days later, I got a text.
Everybody that's been to Gen Con has seen the Good Games sign right there, a block or two off of the convention from where their store is. Are they an Australian company?
Yeah, so they have a couple of branches. There's the publishing branch, which they've done Unfair. I mean, that's awesome. Take that game if you haven't given it a shot.
I've got it in my office right now.
Love it. So they have their publishing branch, they have a retail branch, and a distribution branch. So retail, they have 36 stores, and for most, at least for me, that's now my friendly local game store. Like a lot of people associate Good Games with their local game stores.
There is one in Perth?
There's 4 or 5.
Okay.
So there's one that's Perth's almost split into 2 sections, north of the river and south of the river. There's at least one north. I think there might be 3 south. So yeah, anyway, so that is affiliated with the publishing branch. So yeah, and that's an awesome store. And the dude there is such a welcoming bloke. Like, yeah, and they made me feel at home over there.
So how long does it take? How hard is it to get from Perth all the way to Indianapolis? 9,500 miles.
There was a 6-hour flight from Perth to Sydney because Perth is the most isolated city in the world. You can Google it if you don't believe me. It's tiny. Right. So I had to get to Sydney first, which is a 6-hour flight, and then from Sydney to LA to Indy. So that was total with layovers, about 36 hours of travel.
All right. So this is your first big convention ever, right? Gen Con?
Yeah, we have PAX Australia, but it's not the same. It was just unreal.
I've been to PAX South over in San Antonio. I've never been to the big giant PAX, but I've been to PAX South, and there's just no comparison. PAX South is a lot of people, but there's just no comparison.
I would almost argue the entire convention center, which holds PAX Australia, is maybe the size of the exhibitor hall at Gen Con.
Right.
There's all the other halls at Gen Con. I was pinching myself every day walking through those doors. The first time when I was sort of cranes hanging signs up, I was just absolutely. I was like the little country boy going to the big city. I was like a deer in headlights.
Now, I saw you at Gen Con. If it was where we got to meet for the first time in person, although you and I have been talking for a couple of years, but you almost had no voice and you looked pretty tired. Give us the honest opinion. Was Gen Con everything you thought it was going to be? Was it better? Was it worse? What was it like? What's your honest opinion?
It was a million times better. It was like the
really.
It was. I expected it to be big, and I expected it to be a lot of games, but I didn't expect all the stuff that goes on with the gaming. So I mean, I was looking. I was so excited. I felt like I was a kid at Christmas again. I was looking through the BGG release list and tagging everything I wanted to play and stuff like that. But then there's all the other things. There's the parties. There's the socializing. There's going out to a pub and just having people pull out games on the table. And then there's all the halls around. I didn't realize that Lucas Oil Stadium would be set up for gaming. Like a football stadium set up for gaming. If you had told me that beforehand, I wouldn't have believed you. It was just huge. And then all the hotels that had all of their conference rooms set up for games. It was just huge.
I am sad to admit that it's been 3 years since I've been inside Lucas Oil. The last two Gen Cons, I didn't even have time to go over there. There's just so much to do. You can't do everything at Gen Con.
I'm so disappointed I didn't get over there. I would have loved to, because I love sports, and I do love watching American football as well. And I really want to get over and just have a peek, even if it was put my head in the door and have a look at how huge it was. But
it was pretty cool playing a game 2 years ago, playing a game inside Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm looking up in the seats, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is where the NFL plays, and I'm playing a game here.
I couldn't believe when somebody told me that. I was like, "You're kidding me!" I didn't even realize that until like halfway through the first day. Like, oh yeah, it said. I was like, "You're joking!" Like, as well as this, as well as the demo hall, as well as the other ones, they've got a football stadium set up for games. It was just unreal.
Yeah, there was
it was very exhausting.
What people don't understand about Gen Con is that it completely takes over the downtown. There was a couple of days that we were just trying to get away from the convention center. We went to a little place, a little mall, about a block and a half away, up on the second floor, and they had a food court there. It was just to get away from the convention. We started bringing games and playing there in the food court, just to kind of get away. It's just like everywhere you go, there are people playing games.
I found that food court on the first day.
Oh, you did?
The one you talked about, because I was told I had to try Chick-fil-A. I'd never had it before. My brother is marrying a lovely lady from Georgia, and she loves Chick-fil-A. She's like, you have to try it out when you're there. I think I had it 3 or 4 times, because after the first, I was like, this is really good, and the lines are tiny compared to the what was it there, the block party.
Yeah.
Like, if a convention that has a whole street blocked off to have pubs and food trucks and stuff, like, yeah, it's just
Gen Con. Every time I get so excited about it, and I have such a good time there, and then for the week afterwards, I'm just so glad to be home, and I'm just so tired. But then as we get closer to it again, I start getting excited. So who knows? Maybe I'll get back. BJ from More Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Joel Lewis from Nurse Shark Games, the designer of Fluttering Souls. We're going to be talking about some of the spicy games that he and I have been playing lately. Here's one that we have played a lot. Speaking of Gen Con, I finally got to play it at Gen Con. Marty from Rolling Dice and Taking Names taught it to us, and we both, me and Alex Goldsmith, each bought a copy, and we started playing it. I can't even tell you how many people I played with it at the convention. We're talking about Medium from Greater Than Games. But I found out, Joel, you've played Medium also.
I played it at Gen Con, so one of the guys from Good Games Publishing picked it up, because, like I said, they have their distribution arm as well. So one of the dudes picked it up, and he said to the distributors, guys, you got to get on top of this. This is a great game. Brought it back to where we're staying, because everybody from the company was staying in the same share house. And we played it that night.
A chair house?
A share house.
Share house. Got it. Like an Airbnb type thing?
And they picked up an Airbnb. But everybody from the company was staying in the same one. There was the six of us, in the same place. And we whipped out Medium, and it was amazing. It was great fun. We had an absolute blast.
Elevator pitch of Medium. It's partnership playing, sort of in that between two cities thing where you're scoring with your partners, and it's so simple to teach. You just have a deck of cards, and each person has a hand. You lay out one card, and your partner lays out another card. They're 2 different words, and then you and your partner are trying to figure out the medium between those 2 words. So if it's high and low, it might be middle. Or it could be something that melds the 2. I talked about it on Twitter earlier. Swamp and athlete could be gator if you're a college football fan, or something like that. And you're just trying to find what's that?
Oh, it's just the random combinations that come out. Like, you could have a color, and you have white and elephant, and people looking at each other and go, "Oh, everyone else is going, if he doesn't say Christmas, they're wrong."
Right. Yeah. So, and that's the fun part about it. When we're playing with a big giant group, like we do at our high school group, we actually have 2 or 3 mediums going at one time so they don't have to wait so long. But to me, that loses the fun of watching the other partners. And you know what the answer is. You know what the easy, obvious answer. And you're looking at the person and you're going, why aren't they saying Christmas? Why aren't they saying Christmas? And, and those moments when I'll tell you, there's not a better moment whenever I look at my son, we're playing medium, and we both have the exact same thing, and we both know what we're thinking, and we shout out the answer, and it's just one of those great high five moments right away, and that's what I love about medium.
I love if you get it wrong, then they're your new answers. So they're your new equivalent of the card. So you've got 2 random words, and if you both say something and you're wrong, the words you've just said have to become your new point of reference. So you just kind of keep zoning in, and you can end up way apart. Like it evolves on itself.
Which is sometimes even funnier. It's fun to watch people get closer together, but it's also fun when people are going farther and farther apart. Oh, it's such a good game. Steve O'Rourke says, medium, still waiting for his copy to arrive. Sorry about that, Steve.
I feel your pain. I played it on the Saturday night and went to get it on the Sunday, and they were sold out.
Let's see what I got here. Here's one that is waffle, and what is the other word? I can't even see that. What is that?
Let's play around. Come on, let's get. Have you got it there? Let's get 2 cards. Let's play around.
I know. I'm trying to think. What are those? Can you see what the other word is?
I can only see princess.
It's waffle and princess. All right. So waffle and princess. Oh, Joel, this is going to be terrible. Let's see. Waffle and princess. Oh man, I'm struggling. I think that's why I took a picture of this, because it was so hard back then. Waffle and you have something in mind?
No,
you have something?
No.
Let's see. Waffle and princess. All right, I got something, but it's I don't think it's gonna work. You ready?
No, but
nothing. All right, ready? 1,
yep.
2, 3. Crown.
Chef. Nah.
Chef.
Chefs wear white. Princess white dress. Waffle.
Okay,
nah.
I like it. I like it. I was thinking it when you see a crown, it always has the little waffling of the the air between the jewels and everything like that. When you look at a crown, so that's the best I call it. Yep. All right, so we got crown and we got chef.
Chef.
Crown and chef, huh? Crown and chef. Okay, I have something.
I got one. Yeah.
3.
All right, you go.
2. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. King.
Hat.
Oh.
Chef's weather.
Okay, so we can't. Oh yeah. I like it. I was thinking, chef, crown. The chef's cooking for the king. Trying to figure that out. All right, so we got king, we got hat, we got chef, we got crown, we got princess, and we got a waffle. All right, so king and hat, and we can't use crown. Oh, that's tough. King and hat. All right, I got it. Our last try. You ready?
Yes.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Jules.
Toque. I just went with Stevens.
Oh, you went with Stevens? Oh, I don't even know what that is. What is toque? I don't even know what that is.
My wife's Canadian. It's a beanie, a toque.
Oh no, I don't even know what that is. I don't think
Jules was good. Jules would have been perfect. The one I was thinking was scepter, so that wouldn't have been too far.
Oh, that was my other choice. We should have gone with our gut. I was thinking scepter, but I was like, he's not going to go that way. Joel, and that's how you play medium. Dang it, we were both thinking of the same
badly.
Thing. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's why I took a picture of that, by the way, because that one was a really hard set of clues. I don't think we actually got that one, but that would have been fun. BJ from More Game Gumbo, I've got my guest here, Joel Lewis, designer of Fluttering Souls, and we were talking about a game earlier, and I want to circle back to it because it's a game that you've got to play recently, and so have I. Planet from Blue Orange Games. What's the elevator pitch? What's Planet all about?
It's trying to inhabit it enough to get animals to come and live there. And just conceptually, it sounds so fulfilling to begin with. But
So it's
you have a,
it's
I
almost
think
like
it's
a
a
little
D12, isn't it?
toy.
Is it D12?
I think it's a D12,
It's
and
essentially like a
it's
magnetic D12.
right, and all the little
Sorry.
tiles, and that's one of the things I love. I love tile building games, and this is a 3D tile building game, Joel, and that was the thing that caught my eye right away.
It's just, it's so tactile. When you're watching people playing it, you're almost watching them try to complete a Rubik's cube, because you're kind of looking around, matching stuff, and how am I going to, it's you're trying to match different, what is it, environments, so you can get these animals to come live there. But you might have, like the camel there, you have to have the most desert that's connected to some water, and it's just so much fun. It's so simple but beautiful. I love it.
I will tell you, if I have a complaint about it, I like the building of the puzzle, the tiles and the magnet and fitting all that a little bit more than I actually like the gamification of it with the animals and the cards and the attractions. I remember looking at the guy Sagan that taught it to me, and I kept thinking, Sagan, I just want to have fun with these little tiles. The building the
Yeah.
watching how your earth comes into life is almost more fun than the game is. But again, I only played it one time. I'm sure that I was kind of wrapped up in the puzzle rather than the actual game. So the more you play it, the more you understand the nuances of all the different cards, I'm assuming, right?
At the moment, if there's any game I want to get my wife to play, because my wife is my biggest game partner. So a lot of our collection is tailored to things that we'll both enjoy, as opposed to just a heavy game that I play with my game group. At the moment, there are two games. If I said, let's play these, she'll drop and play it. Planet is one of them, and Deep Sea Adventure is the other.
Oh,
Absolutely love Brothers for the first
she
time
loves
and they
Planet.
loved it. Yeah. It's,
but your
will
wife
say the
likes it
first
too.
time we covered it, she absolutely loves it. Yeah,
Okay,
if I were to say let's play Planet, that will be one of the games at the moment that she would say, no, we'll definitely give it a shot.
So if
But
she's ever
it's
on the
just so
Envy
it's
show,
fun. There is Planet. Yeah, you've won straight away. You don't even have to go 20 questions. It's just
so Steve, mark that down. If we ever get Joel's wife on the show, we're gonna guess Planet right away. We're just gonna knock it out.
I think it's got a lot of criticism about being gimmicky, and it is, but the gimmick's fun. It's really fun. It's tactile. It's pretty. At the end of the game, it's one of those few ones where you kind of sit back and it's so aesthetically pleasing that you're just like, yeah, I had fun even though I lost. And I find stuff like Lanterns is the same, where you have a game that's so pretty that it really doesn't matter so much that you've lost. That's a good gateway game. Something that you've had fun regardless of the outcome, unless you want to play something insanely cutthroat. But
how many times have you played Lanterns and you don't even look at the other players, the way that they designed it? There's a lot of tile building games where you don't really care what other people do. In Planet, we had fun comparing the little planets that we did, showing each other, oh, look at this. Oh, I had so many. I only needed one more. Oh, you had one more than me. And that's a cool thing about the game if you're building something.
And halfway through, because you have your hidden objective, you're kind of looking at someone's like, they definitely have the desert. And you're looking a few turns in the front saying, okay, they're covered in desert. There's no point me going for that animal because they've definitely got it. So I'm going to go for something else. But at the end, you have you have somebody sculpted this water one who I really wanted to draw a whole bunch of jet skis on the water one. And then, you just kind of.
And that is Planet from Blue Orange Games. It's available pretty much everywhere. I've seen it a lot, and I think it's one that you can bring out. The rules are simple enough that you can bring it out with just about anybody.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. But
BJ from More Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Joel Lewis. He's the designer of Fluttering Souls, a game that I got to try out a long time ago when you were talking about Kickstarting it, and then you sent me an email saying, "Hey, hold up, things are working." And you ended up getting it signed by Good Games. We talked about it earlier, but so there may be some people out there in the audience who haven't played Fluttering Souls yet. You have demoed it a ton, so I know you can give us the elevator pitch. What's Fluttering Souls? What's the game all about?
So Fluttering Souls is a simple set collecting game and card drafting where you're taking turns taking butterflies, and you're trying to collect the kaleidoscope of butterflies that's going to award you the most points. The backstory of it is there's a Japanese tale about the white butterfly, and I won't go into too much, but it's a legend where the souls of lost ones come back from the deceased on the wings of white butterflies to visit loved ones in the living world. So you're trying to connect with a lost loved one by collecting different butterflies. In a nutshell, kind of. It was inspired by Mahjong. A lot of people have rightfully so, compared it to Seven Wonders Duel. I actually hadn't played Seven Wonders Duel when I started designing it, and then when I was introduced, it's like, yeah, it's similar. I guess we're almost the Sushi Go version of Seven Wonders Duel, where it's kind of toned back and a lot of the taken away. But it definitely was originally inspired from Mahjong and the collecting tiles about what's covered and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
little too play.
it does it remind me of Seven Wonders Duel? Yeah, the layout and the movement of cards, but in reality, there's a lot of solitaire games that Seven Wonders Duel was actually an homage to a lot of those games or to Mahjong. So I think in it draws from the same type of mechanic, but it's definitely a different game from Seven Wonders Duel. For anybody that's wondering, just because it looks like the same layout, it's definitely different. But I am curious about it. Was Fluttering Souls the theme? Did it come first, or were you thinking in terms of a pyramid type game that reveals card underneath before you did it?
Well, it was kind of, so a lot of people, especially in designing, will say it was a theme or mechanic first. It was neither. It was a design contest. And I am actually loving when publishers put out design contests and put out limitations. It was originally a button shy competition for Gen Can't, because I was in Perth, so I never thought I'd make it a couple of years ago. And it was 18 cards, and I had about 3 entries, and I played them all. And she played Fluttering Souls, or what it was back then, and said, I really like that. That's solid. I think you should go with it. So I entered, didn't win the designs at the time, and I kind of looked at, I'd assumed that I was going to be self-publishing. So I went, okay, financially, what's the smartest one? Art assets, there's not too many butterflies, the backing of the card plus the box, okay, that might be doable as opposed to a bigger game. First time designer, didn't have a huge financial backing, so I went, all right, let's go with this. Came up with an 18 card design. At the time, there was only one layout, and it was all open information. But I learned very quickly that didn't work, because 2 very good AP players would look at it and go, first player's won straight away. So right. You had to hide some cards. So face down, and I went, 18 cards doesn't quite work. Let's make it a little bigger so you don't know exactly what's out there. So it's not completely open information. So there's some hidden, there's some luck. And throwing in some luck into a game design was something I learned the hard way. That I wanted it to be open information. I wanted it to be perfect. So got the artwork done, got the prototype. I think I sent you a very, very early one where we had the artwork done, thought it was good to go. I was getting ready to start my Kickstarter campaign. I was starting to market it, and I flew over to PAX, and I was demoing it, and Good Games guys came and sat down and played it and went, at first I actually didn't know that they were interested in buying it, because Jamie sat down, he played it, and he liked it, and then he brought in, Kim sat down and played it, and then they started telling me about Good Games Publishing. And then Jamie kind of looked at Kim and looked at me and goes, what Kim's trying to say is we're interested in buying your game. We want to sign it to Good Games. And I kind of sat back and went, yeah, okay. I have to think about it. But mind, there wasn't much doubt. They had a much bigger reach about who they could get the game to. And I wanted my game on tables. So we kind of worked together. We helped develop it, and we came up with a lot of layouts. And I know the 18 card layouts look quite simple. There have been thousands and thousands of rounds tested to make sure that the balance between the first and second player is fairly even. There's some 18 card layouts with, it was almost 100% to first player. If you went first, you were going to win that game. So there's been a lot of work into the layouts of that. So
and it's what I really love is the artwork. I mean, Joel, the artwork is just, I don't know if people can see that in the picture. Hopefully they can, but when you see it in person, the artwork is stunning. Tell us about that artwork.
So butterflies was kind of almost always going to be the thing. Designing this game was, and getting into designing in the first place, was kind of a form of bereavement for my wife and myself. We'd lost 3 bubs before we had, my wife had 3 miscarriages before we had our first son, Caleb. And I really threw myself into something creative. I was studying my master's at the time, and that kind of wound up, and I kind of felt just the time. And so I started designing, and my first game was working with a friend. But anyway, sorry, I'm kind of getting distracted. So butterflies is always going to be the theme, and tattooists. Jamie Stagnai's advice was, if you've got friends who can help you out, ask. So a friend of mine who's a tattooist, I said, look, would you be interested? in helping me out, and she said, "Yeah, definitely. It's a Japanese theme. I like it. Butterflies. Who doesn't like butterflies? Let's give it a shot." So she did those for us, and it just it's so pretty on the table. She did an amazing job. Absolutely.
And she's not a board game artist. She's a tattoo artist, just a friend of yours that just has a talented way of bringing these butterflies to life, right?
Yeah, well, she's done quality, so she was able to put it in the right formats. Yeah, RGB versus CKYM and all that kind of stuff. So she, because of her background in technical drawing, stuff like that, before tattooing, when I said, okay, this is apparently how the printers need, she's like, yep, we can do that. Did it all
And
up on
she
her
had
iPad.
never
She
done
even
this.
did
She had done board game.
never done board game art. But their gateway game was what was it? Game of Thrones Second Edition.
Ooh, my son's favorite game, by the way. That's not usually
That was
a
the
game. Wow.
I just speaking of gateway. So yeah, she hadn't done much, and I kind of showed her the collection, and I gave her a bit of, this is kind of how I want it. This is the size of the cards. She even now, when Good Games did it, they redid a lot of graphic design, because I think they have an in-house graphic design. Joel Finch, who did Unfair, he did a lot of the graphic design for it. And Diana admittedly said, like, graphic design is my forte, do the art, but as far as graphic design, but yeah. So she did a lot of that stuff for me. She actually tattooed me yesterday evening as well. Did a few pieces on my leg, so I'm got to take it
So
down.
can people still get Fluttering Souls? I know that Good Games has published it, but did it sell out at Gen Con, or are there still copies out there? What's the story about how can people pick up Fluttering Souls?
Now, I don't want you to take they had it couriered straight out there. So there was 5,000 copies being printed in China, and they managed to get the first bunch just in time for Gen Con. So that's where they launched it. There were copies available at PAX, and I'm told, I've read it should be available in stores. So they're looking at distribution. Well, I mean, they have their own distribution within Australia. So yeah. So it should be available in stores. I'm not 100% sure when, but the Good Games guys are definitely working on that. They've got Unfair out there. They've got Guildmasters and Monstrous. So yeah.
Yeah, we've seen those.
In stores soon.
Always say the nicest group on Facebook, right, Joel?
Oh, and I'm assuming because it was Chuck, it was Gateway and Filler Game Group. Nicest
Yeah,
game, is that what you said?
Exactly right. The nicest group on Facebook.
Because you got Martin and that running all the exposure groups and everything, it's definitely up there. But as a whole, it is pretty welcoming. At least most of the groups are. Like,
yeah, I like that about
Exposure, Spotlight, Gateway.
If you look forward, you can find some toxic people out there, but most of the Facebook groups are like Chuck. They're just all about trying to bring happiness to the hobby, sharing games, doing things like that. And there's Steve with a nice comment. As we've spoken online, Joel, it's a touching story of bringing this lovely creation forward out of grief. Good on you, mate. Good on you, mate.
Thank you.
That is Fluttering Souls. Now, yeah, Chuck, you just missed it. Joel was telling us that Good Games should have it available pretty soon. The ones they brought to Gen Con sold out. I guess the ones they brought to PAX Down Under also sold out, right?
I'm not sure, because for a couple of reasons, I'm not sure how many copies they sold. I don't know how many they took. I'm also not sure if that's a lot of the print run finally landed out their doorstep. So,
but Joel, as you know, this is a board game show. Sure, as you know, this is a board game show, and we got to play a board game on our show. So, I've got the Envy game kicked up and ready to go. It's presented tonight by our friends at Game Toppers LLC. Upgrade your gaming experience with Game Toppers LLC. We're going to play the Envy game while Chuck is waiting for his copy of Fluttering Souls to come in. That's right. We know you want to play that one, Chuck. I think that one's going to be right up your alley. I really do. Based on the post that Chuck has on Facebook, I think he's going to really like it. All right, so the envie game. Quick thing. Envie is a Cajun word down here that we use for a hankering or jonesing, something you really want. In this case, it's a game that you would really want to play. But Joel, you told me before the show that Aussies have their own version of the Cajun word envie. What's that word?
Well, I don't know what's entirely frothing
Okay.
to do something. You're almost, I guess, salivating. Now, I don't know if this was completely Australian. It's something that I kind of grew up with. It's a slang term that anyone kind of around me knew. But when I Googled it, according to Encyclopedia Dramatica, it is specifically a southern part of Western Australia where there's a lot of surfing. It's very much a surfer expression. You're frothing. It
Well,
could
you know
very
what's
well be
funny?
all. It's not because somebody in Melbourne will say, "No, if you're frothing for it, it means you really want to do something."
You know what's funny is that the Secret Cabal uses it a lot. I wonder if they picked that up from either having an Australian friend or from a movie or something, because they always say they're frothing at the mouth. They're frothing at the mouth for something, which
Yeah,
means they're really
yeah,
excited about
that's.
doing something.
Oh, it could very well be all over the place, but it's definitely one that I'm familiar with. It
Next
might be
time
very well a surfing one as well, but
next time I see Jamie or them, I'm gonna ask them if they heard it from a movie about Australia, or if maybe they had some surfer friends. When I think of Pennsylvania, I don't think of surfing, but you never know. They may have known somebody out there. All right, chat crew, we are ready to play
it,
our
it
Envy
does
game.
sound it does sound like a beer expression.
But Joel, you told me we're going to spice up the Envy game tonight, isn't that right?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of stuck between two because there was the one that I own that I will play at the drop of a hat. Game Topper's hat seemed appropriate as that. And there's one that I haven't played that if somebody said, "Hey, I got this. Do you want to? Let's give it a shot."
All right, Steve. So we got to keep track out there. Joel's got two games and he couldn't decide. There's one that he owns and would play at the drop of a hat, the Game Toppers hat, or there's one that he doesn't own. And chat crew, we're going to be asking questions, and Joel's got to keep him straight in his head. He's going to be giving clues. So we got two games to try to figure out. This has never been done before in the show. We're breaking history with Joel Lewis from Fluttering Souls. Let's see if we can get this done. The first one that we always ask to start off the show is, are your games competitive or cooperative? And if you say one of each, that's really going to throw us off.
One of each.
One of each. So Steve, we got a competitive and we got a cooperative game. Now, Steve says he's a big fan of the Dice Men. Do you listen to the Dice Men cometh?
I love the Dice Men coming. Yeah,
And
Gareth
he
and
says
Mark in that. Yeah,
he's
yes.
never heard him say frothing, but they're from are they from Hobart? Is that how you pronounce the town?
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Hobart. Okay. Yeah,
It's
Steve's
not a whole. I don't know. Look, when you were talking about the big, it sounds like a beer expression as well. Because if something's frothing, it's foaming. So it could be that too. But I
could be a
haven't.
beer expression. All right, Steve. So the Chuck out there, Anna Maria, it's both he's got one game that's competitive and one game that's cooperative. All right. So that's gonna make it tough for us. All right. Two games out there. Let's see what else we got. Are your games board based or card based?
Um,
Or a mixture of
I'm
both, maybe?
pretty confident there's board. I'm pretty confident there's boards in both, but they do use cards too.
All right, so they're kind of a hybrid there. They're both board and card based. All right. Let's see. I know one that's Steve. Oh, Marshall Wells checking in from Sinlaw says, "Are they thematic? Are you into the theme of the game? Is it a
There
really thematic game?
definitely there's definitely a lot of
They're both
emphasis and
thematic.
theme on both of them.
Ooh, all right. So we got a
Somebody's going to
competitive and
pull
a
me up on the one I
cooperative
haven't
game.
played. Should simply
Maybe so, maybe so. So how recently have they come out? Did they come out in the last 3 years?
uh, one of them definitely. I'm checking my BGG for the other one. Sorry.
Yeah, Chuck wants to know how
One
new.
of
So
the last
Chuck,
3 years
was the
okay.
cooperative game the one?
2017 and 2015.
Okay, so the cooperative game come out in 2017.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the theme about colonization the cooperative one?
There's a heavy colonization exploration.
Is it Spirit Island?
Oh no,
Oh, all right. Well, I thought I'd try that. All right,
sorry.
so we got they are thematic. They come out. The competitive game came out in 2015, and the cooperative game came out in 2017. Very, very thematic. 2017 game. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Steve was on the same track as me, Spirit Island, but no, it's not that one. How long of a game are they? Are they those 1 hour wonder type games? Are they little filler type games? Or are they big 3, 4, 5 hour games?
So the is about an hour. The one that I don't has the biggest range of time frame that I've ever seen on a like.
Really? A big range.
I
And
can tell
that
you if you
one
want.
is
It's got 5 minutes to 1,000 minutes.
5 minutes to 1,000 minutes. Man, is that like Twilight Imperium? The new edition? That's not 2017 though, is it?
No.
No. And it's not cooperative. So Steve wants to know if it's Mombasa for competitive.
Sorry, Steve.
No, it's not
The
Mombasa.
competitive one is so high up on my list that when I was at Gen Con, I was bouncing from booth to booth, picking up, couldn't get down here.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, wow. So lots of promo cards for it, right? Lots of promo cards for it.
The designer is in my hemisphere.
The designer is in your hemisphere, so down under? Like Oceania?
South of the equator.
Chuck says sounds like a bad version of Munchkin. 1,000 minutes. Yeah. All
Very
right. So
cutthroat version of Munchkin, that's for sure.
the newest one is cooperative, though, right?
Yeah.
Man, that 1 to 1,000 minutes sounds familiar. I think I remember somebody making a joke about that. Oh, I just got to think of it. 2015 for the competitive one. Is the fantasy one? Is it a fantasy? The competitive one, is it a fantasy theme?
It depends on who you ask, but no, there's no fantasy creatures or anything. I'd say not. It's not far stretched from, but it's not. No, there's no dragons, creatures, stuff like that.
Dragons or creatures like that. All right. So, all right. To recap, we got 2 games out there: a competitive one and a cooperative one. One of them is designed by somebody from the Southern Hemisphere, but that could be South America too. Marshall wants to know, were any of the games on Kickstarter, Joel?
Yes.
Both of them?
Pretty sure both. I'm pretty sure both were.
Both of them. Oh man! So a cooperative game from 2017 that takes forever, or could take forever, and it was on Kickstarter.
Just
Cooperative game.
yeah.
All right. So let me think of that. Cooperative. 2017 was unfair. Would that be the competitive one? Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, 2017 is the cooperative one. 2015 is the competitive one. All right, so it's not unfair. Let's see. Anna Maria says seventh continent.
Yes, that's the one that I
Oh,
would. If
nice.
somebody said I have a copy of that, said I have a copy of that, let's go play it. I'll say I'm dropping what I'm doing, and I'm up for it. Yeah.
Oh, nicely done, Anna Marie. I didn't even think of that. But so is that the one that's not really fantasy, but you would say is sort of a fantasy because it's got the curses and all that, right? It's got the little magic. Is that sort of where you were going with that?
I would have probably thought Seventh Continent was fantasy with the curses, but the other one was. Oh, did I mess the questions up? Sorry. But
No,
the
no, no.
competitive
It
one,
might, all right. So, all right, we got one of them
yeah,
down. Anna
Seventh
Maria with
Continent.
the Anna Maria got the 3-pointer. She scored it with continent. So all we got left is the
That was
2015
impressive.
competitive. All right, so here we go. 2015. Let's recap. We got a competitive game. Is No, Seventh Continent is not from the Southern Hemisphere, so that must be the competitive game is designed by somebody from the Southern Hemisphere, right?
Yeah.
It takes about an hour, and it's thematic. Let's see. Let's see. Theme. Does it have a theme to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a space theme?
No.
Not a space theme. All right, people. What about any ideas on the theme that we might have? Oh, does it have minis in it?
Yeah. Well done, Adam Maria. No. No, it's not Martin Wallace, but good train of thought. Steven said a Martin
Not
Wallace
Martin
one, but
Wallace. Yeah, because he lives. That would have been tricky because he's from Britain, but he lives down under now. That would have been tricky. All
um,
right.
I'll give you a
So
hint. Good things come in threes. Here we go. Good things come in threes.
things come in threes. Three. Oh, let's see. Let's see. But I forgot. What was the answer to the minis? Does it have miniatures in it?
No, wooden kind of toast. It's a
All right.
beautiful
So,
gold, beautiful little.
oh, beautiful. Let's see. Well, it's not war chest. No, not war chest. Good things come in threes. That's a good hint. I'm struggling with it there, Joel. You got me on that. All right. So, competitive game, designed in 2015. Does not have minis. It's board based, but it does have cards. Got some wooden tokens.
Chuck some
And
things at me.
no, it's Anna Maria. He said it's not a space theme, so Star Trek Ascendancy. Good guess though. With the threes. Does it have like a does it have a fantasy theme? Oh,
No,
Phil Walker Harding, who's also from down under. He's from below the equator, right?
it's not Phil. Sorry,
Marshall says
but that
root.
is a
Is it
good.
root? Good guess, but that's a 2018 game, not a 2015 game, Marshall. Good guess though, because that's a game Joel wants to play, right, Joel? Is it
Uh,
based on an IP?
I no.
No, not based on IP. Oh, I know that hint about the good things
It's
coming threes is
definitely
going to kill me.
One of the more common themes in board games.
Zombies?
Next one. What's the second? I would almost argue this
Vikings?
biggest. There's definitely a time. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So is Shim Phillips from Down Under?
He's not from down under. He's from New Zealand.
Oh, okay. He's from New Zealand.
He's the next door neighbor.
So is it the third in the trilogy of the Raiders of the North Sea?
So it is Raiders of the North Sea. But he
Oh,
did 3 North Sea series. He did 3 Architects. Oh, sorry, 3 West Kingdoms.
I got to give it to him. Yeah, I've played Raiders and I've
Yep,
played
Raiders of the North Sea.
Explorers. I have not played Shipwrights yet. I really liked. I must be in the minority. I liked Explorers better than I liked Raiders.
It's good. Like the tile laying and the exploration is cool, and I love the boats and you can take around with your raiding party. But I love worker placement. I absolutely love it.
I liked Raiders, but I played Champions and Lords of Waterdeep before I played Raiders. So it didn't do anything for me that, I mean, if I'm going to play that, I'm going to play Champions, right? But when I played Explorers, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like the tile aspect. I like the pick up and deliver aspect. I thought it was a cool little exploration game.
Yeah.
How is Shipwrights? Have you played Shipwrights yet?
No, I haven't played Shipwrights. No, I haven't actually. That one's harder to get down here. I haven't seen it, but
Well, that was a
Explorers
good
and Raiders are.
that was two good hints, Southern Hemisphere and good things come in threes. So that was really good on you, man. I appreciate those hints. That was really well done. And very well done from Marshall, who got the
Yeah,
competitive
good
game
work,
right,
Marshall.
and Anna Maria for getting the cooperative game right. We made history here on the Gumbo. We actually tackled 2 games at one time during the Envy. I wasn't sure how it was going to work, Joel, but you pulled it off. And that is the Envy game. Hey, don't
That's
forget,
good. Yeah.
sponsored by Game Toppers LLC. Make your game night a showstopper, Joel, when you play on a table with a Game Topper. Game Toppers LLC. So, hey, Joel, what's next for you in terms of projects? Do you have anything coming out? Do you have you got any conventions that you're going to?
So I'm working. No convention next little while because hold on, I just got to kick the dog out. Sorry, he's too.
Nice. We got an appearance by a dog on Gumbo Live. What kind of dog
There's
was it, by the way?
um, chocolate Labrador.
Chocolate Lab. Love it.
So I'm trying to Fluttering Souls with more players, really. But I need a kind of style mechanic of first player if I can work a way of making the actual pattern thin enough so that by the time you've had a turn, you're not necessarily your theory or strategy isn't ruined. Just get it back around to you. With that kind of drafting game, it can be an issue. I'm loving the button chart competitions. They are great fun at the moment and very challenging and really gets the cogs turning. But something I've loved looking at lately is and not in the sense of a YouTube video where some a homeless person and seeing who gives them money. I'm talking about journal articles with between people and how that can be turned. There is an awesome one on laws of attraction and how people perceive themselves and how they perceive others, or better yet, how they're unsure of where they sit in the say scoring a 1 to 10. They don't know where they sit, but they want to go for the higher one. So it's all a matter of you don't know where you stand, but you stand and trying to negotiate around that. So that's been really fun to try actually look at some journal articles and actual like peer-reviewed medical articles and say, all right, how can I turn that into a game? So that's been really fun. So plodding along, trying a few different things. Yeah.
Steve wants to know if it's the record for the farthest guest from Louisiana on Gumbo Live. Joel, while you were talking, I just checked. So Shinya LaSalle was one of my guests. He's the designer of New York 1901. He's from Japan. That's only 6,500 miles. Phoebe Wild was also a guest on the show. And if I remember, Phoebe's from New Zealand, not Australia. Do you know Phoebe?
I do know Phoebe. I don't want to commandeer your show, but if you haven't seen what she's bringing out on Kickstarter, to have a look at it. It's not a game; it's board game clothing.
Her clothes.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, the looted
We
cherry
actually
stuff.
talked about it on the show
I'm
when
hanging out for that to
yeah, she came on the
it's
show about a year and a half, and it was just in the nascent stages when she was talking about it, and now it's full blown and it looks really good. But she's from New Zealand, so you do hold the record for the furthest away from the show. Steve says, "I'm a social personality
that's
psychologist. We should talk, Joel." You got a potential
yeah.
one there.
The link of the
You get
particular
Steve.
paper that I'm looking at and see.
Steve's all into games. I'm telling you, he could help you out with this one. Well, all right, Joe, I want to thank you for coming on the show. All right, board gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. I want to thank my guest, Joel Lewis, who holds the record now for the furthest distance from the studio, 9,000 miles. And we made it. We had an awesome Envy game. Joel, how can people reach you if they want to talk to you about Fluttering Souls or about anything else that's going on?
So there's the Fluttering Souls board game Facebook group. There's also the Nurse Games page, where although it definitely is science publishing, I'll still be promoting it through my Nurse Games. That's what I had planned on launching with for myself, but it's under Good Games Publishing, so check them out as well. Facebook groups. There's some awesome reviews out there at the moment if you Google a couple, but yeah, the Fluttering Souls page and definitely the Good Games Publishing.
Well, make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/boardgamegumbo. Get the word out all of our upcoming shows, including next week. We've got Patrick and Eric in the morning from Punchboard Media. They'll be coming on to do the show. We didn't get to say thank you to Draft Mechanic. I did wear the shirt for you there, Joel, because I know you wanted to tell Jake and Danielle thank you.
Definitely, yeah, they bring souls at Gen Con, and I blame Jake for me starting my colleague gave me a Draft Mechanic pin, and I went around and bought so many after that. I looked at my lanyard and went, yeah, along with this.
Love Draft Mechanic podcast. I never miss it. But fellow Punchboard Media members, Patrick and Eric will be on the show next week. And the following week after that, we've got Blue Peg, Pink Peg's very own Green Peg, Jeremy, who's going to be on the show. Super excited. Haven't talked to Jeremy in a couple of years. It's going to be nice to visit with them. And we're going to have Patrick and Eric in the evening next week. Wait, sorry, I have it backwards. So next week is Jeremy. 2 weeks from now is Patrick and Eric in the evening, and we'll be doing a special Halloween themed show. So make sure you catch that. Hey, I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. Want to thank my guest Joel Lewis one more time. And until next time, Joel, laissez le bon temps rouler.
Cheers.